Namaste children, welcome to this new session in which we are going to know about the revolt of 1857. So we all very well know that India gained its independence after a lot of struggle. So we were under the British rule for near about 300 years, and our people who have given their life have given this independence with a lot of struggle and bargaining with them with their own life. So you will be able to know the causes for the revolt that led to the freedom struggle. So this session is the part 1 of the two sessions that you will be knowing for this chapter. From this session, you will be able to relate the consequences of the domination of East India Company over India with culmination of 1857 result. And you will also be able to identify various causes of the revolt of 1857. So let us move further. So what is the reason behind the revolt first of all? So the revolt was the result of the accumulated grievances of the people against the policies of the British and their hatred for the foreign rule. So from the previous chapters you very well know the policies that has been introduced by the British to take away our land as well as our wealth, like the subsidiary alliance, okay, and also the other policies like the zamindari system and all, through which they were able to take away our land as well as our revenue. So these are some of the reasons which made the people revolt against the Britishers, as they were completely against these policies and they hated the foreign rule. So if you go further, you will be also able to know the other causes for the revolt. So they are like the economic causes, political causes, social and religious cause, military cause, and the immediate cause. So we'll be knowing one by one after each. So first is the economic cause. So the British had drained India of all her wealth and natural resources by selfish economic policies. So we very well know how their revenue systems had been able to take away the revenue from us by increasing the rate of interest, by increasing the land revenue and taxes. So these were the economic causes that led to the revolt. So if you look at the economic causes, you will be able to know that the peasants, artisans and craftsmen were the people who suffered a lot through their policies. So the peasants got exploited, they had to pay heavy land revenue, they even lost their lands, and because of which they lost their zamindari rights. So zamindari means being the landlord. So they were no more the landlords after they lost their lands. So that is why they were losing their zamindari rights also, and they faced a lot of severe economic loss and blow to their status. So if you see further, the other loss that our people felt was the administration, court, and army. So people in India were working under the British during those period. So they worked under the uh, administration of our rulers earlier. So they worked in the courts of the kings, they were in the army of the kings, and there were people who were scholars who used to write poems and books for the kings, and there were artists who used to work for the palace and the dressings of the kings who used to earn through all these means, and religious preachers were there who used to conduct some yagas, homas and everything for the king. So these all people lost their jobs after the administration of British came into force. So the British removed Indians and they brought in their people to work in our people's place. So these we our people lost their jobs from the administration, the court, army, and their posts from the scholars, artists, and also the preachers. So this gave a big blow to their economy. There were some other policies also that were introduced by the Britishers, like the subsidiary alliance. So this subsidiary alliance brought in some terms through which the Indian rulers were not allowed to have their independent forces. They were to be protected by the company and had to pay for the subsidiary forces. So you have very well learnt about the subsidiary alliance in the previous chapter. So the British will be posting its army in the Indian territory, and the ruler of that territory had to pay some revenue as the amount of the, what to say, it is like he had to pay for the army's taking care system of the British. Okay, he had to pay for the army of the British. So if he failed, so then he had to give away a part of his territory. So under Richard Wellesley as the Governor General from 1798 to 1805, the Nawab of Awadh and Hyderabad were forced to give over parts of their territory as they had failed to pay for the alliance. If you further see, there is one more policy called the doctrine of lapse. So this was introduced by the Governor General Dalhousie. So according to this, the control of applying the doctrine of lapse, this was an act enforced by the British government to occupy the states and lands of the Indians. So according to this policy of the doctrine of lapse, if any ruler doesn't have a heir to further take care of the kingdom, then the kingdom is automatically shifted into the hands of the British. So in this way, the kings who didn't have their further heirs to rule, they lost their lands. For example, Nana Sahib, who was an adopted child of Baji Rao, was not allowed to rule further, and he was not also given the pension to take care of his family or the kingdom. And Rani Lakshmi Bai, who had an adopted son, was not allowed to rule the kingdom. The son was not allowed to rule the kingdom since he was the adopted son. And in the same way, Begum Hazrat Mahal also lost her kingdom, and she was also annexed by the British with this policy of doctrine of lapse. Now, what were the social causes? So the practice of sati was abolished by the Britishers, widow remarriage was enforced, child remarriage, soiled marriage was not allowed, interference of British in Indian social customs was also taking place, and common people did not appreciate the changes in social customs. Westernization brought about by the British was also not liked by the people. So these were some of the social causes that also led to the revolt. And if you say the military cause, the military cause was that our Indian soldiers were paid very low salary, highest post was not given to the Indians, so they couldn't move above the post of the Subedar, and no special allowance was given to them. They were forced to take pledge for fighting outside the country. So these were some of the reasons why the military was not happy with the British rule either. And what was the immediate cause? A rumor had spread that the new cartridge to be loaded in the Enfield rifle was greased with the fat of cow and pig. So in those days, the weapon, the gun used to have a cartridge and which had to be greased, and it was to be chewed and opened. So this was came to be known by the soldiers that the cartridge had some grease which consisted the fat of the cow and the pig, and they were not ready to open it by mouth. So the Hindus were feeling the cow as to be very sacred, so they worship cow as a very sacred thing, and the Muslims, they hated the pig meat was forbidden by the Quran. So the people who were working under the Britishers, the Hindus and the Muslims, they were against this particular usage of the cartridge, and this led to the immediate cause of the revolt. So they fought against the Britishers that refusing to use this cartridge, and this also led to the revolt, which was an immediate cause actually. So this way, if you see, you will get to know that there have been many causes, especially starting from the policies that were introduced by the Britishers, which you have already learned in your previous chapters. So these were some of the policies and the causes that led to the revolt of 1857. So thank you very much, children. Hope you would have understood the causes. In our next session, you will be further knowing in detail about all these causes and the effect or impact of these causes and how this revolt also ended. So take care till then. Thank you.